Welcome, everybody, to this afternoon's webinar. The topic today is on elementary and middle school personal finance education, with a specific emphasis here at the beginning on what's happening here in Pennsylvania. And then we will turn to a wide array of resources that we have to share with you. I've picked 5 what I would consider sort of fan favorites to share this afternoon. So if we haven't met before, my name is Hilary Hunt. I serve as the director of the Making Sense Project, and it's great to be your host today. We're going to talk a little bit about some upcoming opportunities, just give you a little bit of background, and then dive right into our content. If you don't mind, if you take a moment to find the chat, there should be a drop-down menu to select for everyone, and go ahead and let us know who you are, where you're from. Helps me sometimes, for those of you, I've been working here in Pennsylvania for 20 some years and I still don't have all 500 school districts memorized. So if you don't mind maybe adding the county that you're in or intermediate unit, that's sometimes helpful for me to sort of locate where you are within the state. And then what is it that you do with financial education? Do you, for example, teach a course you're interested in teaching or integrating it into another subject area? What is it that you're sort of interested in or coming here to learn? So again, if you don't mind, find that chat and add some of that information. That'll be really helpful for me as I go forward to sort of have a sense of who's in our proverbial room with us this afternoon. So by way of background, the Pennsylvania Department of Education and Penn State University partnered to provide the Making Sense Project. This is a partnership that's been in place now for about a decade, and we try and provide financial literacy and economic education resources to focus on K-12 across Pennsylvania, including these webinars. This is our primary form of professional development nowadays. I sometimes joke that we did webinars before webinars were cool and before webinars became dreaded. So, but we try and still use these to reach out to as many folks as we possibly can, with a variety of different approaches. Sometimes we're focused entirely on content knowledge. So I saw we had somebody here with us from FIA. We kicked off our webinar series this fall, actually, with folks from Penn State and their Office of Student Aid, talking about the expected changes to the FAFSA, certainly an ongoing challenge for many of us, having a lot of ripple effects, especially for those like myself who happen to have a high school senior. But we try to give everybody a heads up on that back in the fall. We do things focused on very specific, like in-depth sessions on certain financial literacy resources. So we've had folks on, and all of these webinars, by the way, are in our archives, so you can go and see the ones we did this fall with Take Charge Today, for example, and Foolproof. And then we also try and highlight professional information. And so I'd say that today we're going to focus on this middle in a few minutes, but we're going to kick off with some of that professional information, talking a little bit about what's taking place in terms of elementary and middle school financial education here in Pennsylvania. We do have another webinar in April that'll focus on the high school level. And then I've been holding off on nailing down that May topic until I sort of see what's going on. And we have a little bit more of a lay of the land in case there's anything sort of new and hot that I need to address before school lets out. For those of you who have participated in our book studies, or those who may not have, I'd love for you or to extend the invitation to join us this summer. We'll be reading How to Adult. This is a book along with the one that we did this winter that is very much focused on, or the audience really is young people. And so this is this is a book that many educators have turned around and used with their students, either in portions, just one short little chapter at a time, or doing the equivalent of their own book study. So if that's something that's of interest to you, we'll be doing all of that in Penn State's Canva platform. And those are free of charge. The first 50 teachers for each of those that enroll receive a copy of the book for free. So let's dive into today's topic. We are focused on elementary and middle school financial education, as I mentioned earlier. And the first thing that I want to kick off with is, if you're not aware, and I see some familiar names, but also some new folks on today. So wanted to make sure that everybody is up to speed, that we do have currently what's referred to as a proposed rulemaking that proposes standalone, a whole set of standards for personal finance here in Pennsylvania that are K to 12. And so this information, and if you follow the URL or the grab that QR code, and all of these links and the slides will be posted likely tomorrow. So if you don't get a chance, you can go visit our website for those later on. But this is all on the State Board of Education's website. And so if you're on the state board's website under current initiatives and then regulations, you can read through sort of, the history of what's been taking place. We did a lot, an in-depth webinar. I did a pretty in-depth one on this in January. So if you want sort of the nitty-gritty details and how all this works out, feel free to go back and watch that one in the archives again from January. But basically, Chapter 4, where all of the standards live, is controlled by the State Board of Education. And upon recommendations from educators that reviewed and were tasked to reviewing the standards for economics, career education, work, and family and consumer sciences, the decision was made and the recommendation was made and then followed through to create standalone personal finance standards. And so this proposed rulemaking includes updates to those 3 standard areas that are already in place that I mentioned, as well as these new personal finance standards. And so within that, and this is, again, as I mentioned, a proposed rulemaking. That means that it is going through and moving through the regulatory review process, which starts with things like a review by the governor's office, and the governor's budget and policy, as well as the Office of General Counsel. Then it goes to the Attorney General's office, and then after that, it's published in the Pennsylvania Bulletin. There's an opportunity for 30 days of public feedback and input. And at the same time, it goes to IRC, which is the Independent Regulatory Review Committee, as well as the education committees in the State House and Senate. So these are not final by any means. There's still quite a few steps in this process, but if you go through and you look at these, it'll give you a pretty good idea of where at least the board is intending to go and what the board so far has approved. So with that, I wanted to dive in a little bit and just share with you what's in these standards. They are the personal finance standards, as well as all of the other 3, have been benchmarked at 4 grade levels. So K to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and 9 to 12. So today's topic, we're focusing on elementary and middle school. So that would be the K2, 3, 5, and 6, 8 levels that we would think about. And then there are 6 areas. So within those 6 areas, then we see standards aligned at those levels, not necessarily one, there's not necessarily, just because there's a standard, say, for example, at the high school level, doesn't mean that there has to be one at the K to 2. You'll definitely see more standards at the high school or 9 through 12 level than you will at the elementary levels. But I'd encourage you, if you haven't already, to download this document, take a look at it, dive in, see what kind of content you see there. Familiarize yourself with that, because at this point, if this, whatever form this may or may not go forward in, but these would be the new personal finance standards here in Pennsylvania, with implications, again, all the way from kindergarten to 12th grade. So within this, in addition to the PDF of the actual standards, there's a PDF referred to as Annex A, and that has a summary of all of the changes that the state board is recommending or has approved as part of this package. in most cases related to the standards themselves, as well as cleaning up a few other things. And so again, this is all coming from the regulatory side of things, which is again controlled by the State Board of Education here in Pennsylvania. So within chapter 4, for example, I know this is really small, but basically it talks about the purpose of public education here in Pennsylvania. And so when we've looked at that list before, there have historically been 8 topics there, and personal finance is, or excuse me, 9 there, and personal finance is being added as the 10th. So this clearly delineates or clearly calls out personal finance as being part of the purpose of public education here in Pennsylvania. Personal finance is described in this document then as the understanding the process of planning and managing personal financial activities, such as income generation, spending, saving, investing, and risk protection. And it goes on a little bit there. Then we see within curriculum and instruction, the inclusion of personal finance then within what the state, what is required of public schools in terms of elementary education, both at the primary and then again at the intermediate level. So we see then that this is called for in both places, and then again also for middle level education. It's also at the high school, but again, this is our focus for today. The other piece that's been going hand in hand, anybody working at a broader level, is the implications of Act 35 and a new requirement for a high school course. As I mentioned, we're doing a webinar next month on that topic. So if you have questions about that, I'd encourage you to come back for that one. I'll pose this question again at the end, but if you or someone you know would like to be part of developing resources to support implementation, which happens to also be part of Act 35 and that requirement, we would love to have you join us. I have a QR code there, and again, I'll give it to you at the end that links you or takes you to a Google form where you can provide more information and help us to provide additional resources for educators aligned to these anticipated standards. So unless there are any questions on the standards, and feel free to pop any of those in the chat, I'm going to move on, and I have 5 again fan favorite sort of educational resources to review with you today. It's probably going to come down to the wire, but I'm going to try and make it quick and not hopefully go too fast for you, but I wanted to at least share a variety of different resources. And so we're going to kick things off with resources from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or CFPB. They developed a while ago what they call the building blocks of financial education, which are sort of these various knowledge and skill sets and what have you that build upon each other. And then in addition to that, once those were established, they have continued to add to their resources for educators with things like classroom activities, assessment tools, more. And so if you aren't familiar with these, I would encourage you to check these out. Again, it's CFPB's Teach the Building Blocks. And these lessons or activities are relatively short. These are not built as sort of a progression of units or a progression of lessons. These are very much intended to be kind of grab and go, fit them in where you can. But the webpage here with the activities does allow you to filter down by grade level. So if you can go down, you know, say for example, you just want resources that are K-1, and then you can talk about, well, how long of an activity are you looking for? What topic do you want it to be on? And it'll narrow that down for you. I pulled one here, for example, called Making Spending Choices. This one is ideal for elementary students from K through 3rd grade. It covers spending or buying things. It's about a 45 to 60-minute lesson, and it covers all 3 of the building blocks: executive function, financial habits and norms, and financial knowledge and decision-making skills. One thing to note, and I know a number of folks are kind of like, okay, this is kind of like a funky format or what have you. But when you get into each of these, if you prefer to see things in more of like that downloadable PDF version, just scroll down and you'll see the teacher's guide, which you can then open or save as a PDF. That sort of it's kind of like the more traditional way of looking at things, or you can just grab all of that information from the website. And then there's access then, of course, to the student materials that you would need and any other files that you might need for to implement this lesson. So this one I like. I think it does a great job, and it's something that I often like to do with students, in particular the younger children, is it can help sometimes. Not everybody has money to spend, and that's something that we should always be aware of as educators. And so sometimes using sort of an equivalency or a comparable is a great way to think about things. And this activity does a great job with that, looking at money and time and really pointing out the similarities between them when it comes to pets, right? So, for example, if you squint or lean in, you'll see that fish are low time, low money, right? So not a huge commitment of either one, coming down to dogs, which cost more money and require more time, right? And so there's this great lesson here, activity here that talks about the choices that you make and what is required when you think through those things. So, for example, if you're going to get a dog and you're going to be expected to assist with their care, that's going to require time. It's also going to require money. Frequently, when we're talking about younger children, it's not necessarily their money that's being impacted, right? But it might be their time. And so, a great way to make connections there. One of this lesson references the Money Monsters Learn What Things Really Cost book. These Money Monster books are all produced by CFPB and are a great resource for elementary students. There are these storybooks. So we have savings, careers, risk management, what things really cost, borrowing, giving. Those are all sort of picture storybooks with associated lessons. And then there's also a chapter book that focuses on entrepreneurship. For those of you who are not familiar with these, one of the things that's fantastic about them is, one, you can download them as PDFs or as e-publications if your district has the ability to have students open those. But you can also get free copies of them in whatever quantity you need for your students. So you can order entire classroom sets of these. They're a paperback, but you are able to order those and have those sent to you free of charge through the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and through US.gov through their publications clearinghouse. I also love their bookmarks. They have bookmarks, the one for each of the books that they have. So if you get a set of them, it'll be 40. It's 5 bookmarks for each of the books that they have. Another fantastic tool with these is on assessing the building blocks. And so this has resources to help you, track and look at the milestones that are expected, as well as to tally where your students are and the tools that you can use to do those, along with additional resources. So that is another great resource that has had a lot of research-backed effort going into that. Moving on to Smart Path. Smart Path is from the University of Cincinnati Economics Center. So part of the Council for Economic Education Network. And this is a program that has grown and expanded over time. It's marketed as being really for kindergarten through 8th grade. So it has materials that are leveled and available, and has really a wide variety of resources within their program. So they have an entire platform, so you can have students log in and track their progress. There's a lot of different there's bells and whistles with that. Everything from that to videos and a bunch of other great resources. So this is the platform. So you see it's a story-based curriculum. There's different interactives that students encounter, and then there are assessment tools built in. All of these, by the way, everything that I'm talking about today is free and free to teachers to use with easy access. You do need to create a teacher account, and that varies from one resource to another. This one you do so that you can, kind of get the keys to the kingdom and see everything that's in the back end. There's a complete tutorial on their website, but they also do teacher training and have other resources as well. One of the things that I love about this program is they've done an excellent job. They refer to it as all access, making sure that everyone is able to access the information. And so for students with special needs, this is fantastic resource for those students. So the other piece that is really fun, they partnered with PBS and done a series of videos that some of them have like full-blown lessons, some of them have short activities, others have discussion guides, but there's some great ones in here. And we're gonna hope my audio works here in a second. I just got this video that I pulled, this 6-minute video, but I just have a quick clip here to show you all. So hopefully we'll get sound. Here we go.
So saving money, the important thing is to have a plan and to stick to it.
Well, that's exactly what we did.
And now the big day is finally here. Woo! Stay glad! Woo! Saving is smart, saving is fun. Saving can benefit everyone.
It's good for Mom.
It helps your dad.
It keeps you safe when things go bad.
If you want new clothes.
Or your card needs repair.
Saving money will get you there.
Woo! Yeah, stay glad.
It's Stinkland.
Well, get in there, you two. You earned it.
Woo!
Yeah.
So saving money.
So this is a cute little video. These puppets that have been saving their money, earned money, and saved it up to go Stinkland. Yay! But sadly, one of their friends cannot accompany them. He ended up getting in trouble by spending all of his money once he got a credit card. And so they talk about, what credit is and how to be careful when you use credit to, and manage it wisely. And so in conjunction with this, there's this quick little crossword puzzle to reinforce some of the vocabulary, as well as a series of discussion questions and ideas to extend this in the classroom. This is another one that I really love, these Smart Path snacks. So bite-sized financial literacy videos for preschool and kindergarten students. So these are for our youngest learners. And they have some really cute ones. So they don't have the whole alphabet, at least not yet. I don't know what their plans are, but C is for cash, D is for dime, just some really cute, again, puppet-oriented videos. These are all on YouTube as well. So even if you don't feel like going in, and you can access all of these resources without creating a teacher login. The only thing you need the teacher login for is if you want to go in and access their platform. The next one that I want to talk about is definitely a more comprehensive curriculum, if you will. It's got a whole series of lessons at multiple grade levels, and this comes from the FDIC, or the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and it's called Money Smart for Young People. And so this program has been around in various iterations for decades now. Started out as high school and has expanded down into the lower grades. You'll see here it is divided for pre-K to 2, grades 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and 9 to 12. So from the alignment to our new Pennsylvania standards, that works out really well because if you recall a few minutes ago, I mentioned that these are K to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and 9 to 12. So what will you find here at the pre-K to 2 grade level? There's 6 lessons. Each of these has an educator guide, handouts, and slides that go with them. 3 to 5, there's 8 lessons. So you'll see here the titles of these gives you an idea of what's covered in each. This is an example of some of the slides that come with it. You'll see that a portion of it is instructional with information and vocabulary and what have you. And then other components as we move forward here then have, these are, for example, some story problems, right? And other resources or other components that are as part of these. Here are then some of the handouts or worksheets that go with this. So this is a payment options true or false. Again, this is for grades 3 to 5 is where this one is coming from. And this one is around payment decisions. So selecting a payment method of payment that would work best given the situation and defending that the reasoning. A test here to test your payment knowledge, an opportunity to draw what they learned as well as write about it. So similar kinds of formats, just adjust by grade level. For middle school, you're going to see 12 lessons, each with an educator guide, handouts and slides. So here are the first 6. So you see, a variety of different topics there, and then the final ones there as well. In addition, at each of the grade levels, so the PK2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 12, there's a parent guide that has a connection with what's being done in the classroom, some words to know, books that parents might use with their children to further explore these topics, and then a variety of conversation starters. This is a great resource for folks, especially if you want students to read for content. So, we often think about, how can we do some of this that's interdisciplinary, right? So, one of the things that you might think about is if you're looking for some good informational text for students, these Money Smart News for Kids is fantastic. It's these 9 what they call chapters. Each one is very short. So this one that I'm showing you here on the left, that's almost all of it. There's like a little bit that bleeds onto the second page. And then with each of these, then there are additional student questions as well. Each of these, you can get all of them online. So if you just want to shoot out a link, depending on what kind of device access your kiddos have, you can do that. You can download them as PDFs and print them or send them off that way. There's also an ability to just download all of them all at once into one document, which for those of us who tend to have file issues can be a good thing. So let's move on then to Next Gen Personal Finance and their middle school course. So this is a great resource again from Next Gen Personal Finance. Next Gen has started out doing focusing really at the high school level and has a variety of different resources there for high school. But a little while back, they developed this middle school course that has 9 units. So money in our lives, consumer skills, budgeting, credit, saving, investing, protecting yourself, prepare for success, and life after high school. Within each of those units, you can access the student activity pages. If you have a verified educator user ID and password, you can get to the lesson guide and the answer keys. And then they also have Nearpod lessons as well as Google Slide versions of those as well. So again, sort of everything, all the work's been done. It's really a matter of, figuring out what works best for you and for your situation in your school and your students. So again, this is an example of what one of those student activity pages looks like. Here we have the, an opportunity for them to reflect on different pieces. This is a scenario. So, and there's assessment pieces and everything else baked into these. This is an example of one of the lessons. So this is their personal finance decision making. Again, all of that is there in Nearpod or in Google Slides. Last but not least, I wanted to share with you my classroom economy, and this one is from Vanguard. This again has been around for quite a while. I'm just curious if anybody's familiar with this one. If you want to jump in and mention or share any thoughts, you're welcome to. But this is a program that has evolved over time as well. And let me just share with you this short introductory video.
At all grade levels in the program, every student has a classroom job where they earn a salary. In elementary school, that could be something as simple as being the line leader or erasing the chalk or whiteboards. But as it progresses, there's a myriad of jobs that students can have. They could be a banker, they could be an electrician, they could even be an investment banker.
So the way that it works in the classroom is that students have a job, they earn money, then they also have expenses, right? So they have to actually rent their desk. In the upper grade levels of this program, they end up paying taxes. I think it's awfully interesting when students are able to earn not only their own desk, but those of others. So that's always fascinating to see how that plays out as well. I appear to be freezing on my end. Are you guys still able to hear me? I just want to make sure that everything is okay. I'm afraid maybe my internet is glitching a little bit on me. Hopefully we're back up and running. All right, so that is that program. There are versions of it for K-1, for 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, 12. One of the things that I really love about my classroom economy is that we often talk about how there's no extra room on the plate, right? So it's often very hard, especially when there are new requirements, to figure out where you're going to do things. And my classroom economy, while there are lessons and there's implementation time that is required, anybody can do it. And I've known of schools where the music teacher implements it, the art teacher implements it, the gym teacher implements it. Like, anybody can do this program over top of whatever else that they're doing. In many cases, it can be aligned with sort of a behavioral system, whether or not you're trying to recognize and honor positive behavior, or however you're managing things in the classroom. And so that's one of the things that a lot of people really like about the My Classroom Economy program. It has gone digital now. So if you haven't looked at it in a while, I would encourage you to go visit their website and log in and request a login and access that. Again, everything here is free of charge, no cost to educators. So I flew through things. You guys were kind of quiet this afternoon without questions. So apologies if I went too fast, but those are the resources that I wanted to just kick things off with and share with you as a great place to get started when it comes to personal finance at the elementary and middle school levels.